Okay, welcome back. I'm going to be doing a little demo on thinking about the legs, thinking about the thigh foreshortened, looking at the thigh and the knee foreshortened. I'm going to start with this leg of Lyndon's right here, where we can see the patella pretty clearly. One of the things I want to make sure that you kind of notice is how we can really see a lot of the features that we study in anatomy. We actually can see as we're looking at the model, looking at the leg. So we see the patella pretty clearly. We can also see the tuberosity of the patella, this spot right here where, or not, tuberosity of the tibia, that's the bump right beneath the patella. The tendon from the patella goes right over the tuberosity. We can see slightly on this pose an indication of the vastus medialis right here, and then we see a little bit more of it over here, as well as then the rectus femoris and the vastus lateralis kind of become one mass over here. So in this position with the leg like this, there isn't a lot of foreshortening. There's a little bit of the thigh right there. And then if we're looking at the other leg, let's, have you panned towards the model, Leander, at all?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good. As we're looking at this leg, we see a lot more foreshortening because this knee is pointing and bending and it's pointing at us to a degree, and then the calf goes away from us. Let's see if we can measure this and make sure that we got this right. So notice how in this angle here, we actually can see both the vastus lateralis and the vastus medialis, especially right there in that mass right there, right above the kneecap. We can see that quite clearly because of the way the leg is kind of stretched and extended. You can just barely see a little bit of the mass of the soleus underneath the gluteus, like or the gastrocnemius right here. We really can't see it on this leg because of the way this lower leg is relaxed, but this one, with it being kind of stretched and extended, we can kind of see that. So I've said this before, but I'll kind of discuss it again. One of the major, most important issues when it comes to drawing any limbs, but especially the leg in foreshortened position, is imagining that you understand that the leg is tubular in volume and that you're thinking about those cross-contour lines. It's about how much are you bringing your imagination to the drawing. Because, I mean, it is to a certain degree about how accurate your lines are, but more important than that is how thoughtful your decisions are and how much those thoughts represent an understanding of volume. And if they understand the volume pretty clearly, then the rest kind of falls into place. Let me just get this foot here kind of quickly. I want to talk about feet just for a second. So when you're drawing feet in various angles, students struggle with, well, how do I draw a foot? One of the things to think about is, number one, think of a model of like a wedge like that. And then beyond that wedge, you know, obviously it swells in the back, has an arch here. Also, this edge of the wedge is higher than that edge so that the whole thing is kind of planing down in that direction. And then on top of that, there's usually an angle and turn to the toes. There's usually a good deal of mass right here on the top of the foot. And then of course we have the two malleolus. In this case, this would be the medial malleolus, and the other side would be the lateral. And so anytime I'm drawing a foot at any type of angle, I mean, obviously I'm trying to think about what it is I see, but I'm also bringing to mind this kind of wedge model as my starting point of how to look for and to think about what I'm seeing in the foot. I think, in figure drawing, you're always having to come up with new metaphors for new angles, but still having certain metaphors that you kind of know as kind of a go-to, especially if those are models that you don't over rely on, but more instead use to inform you in terms of that search, then I think that's kind of useful. All right, Linda, we're gonna do one more thing. This will be real quick. Go ahead and now do the one leg folded over the other, and then kind of rotate a little bit. Okay, so this is an angle where the knee is coming right towards us with the leg bent, and I'm going to try to draw this as quickly as possible because Lyndon tells me this kind of hurts. So once again, we can see that swell from the vastus medialis, right? Remember, there's a tendon right here called the band of Rischer that helps with one of the reasons why it swells out like that. So things happen to the patella when it's kind of bent and pressed forward towards us. One of the things we see certain muscle masses a little bit more clearly. We see evidence of the tendons sometimes a little bit more clearly. But then at the same time, the actual mass of the patella gets decreased. It's not as clear right there as it would be if he was standing upright or if the leg was straightened out. I'm just going to put enough of this other leg in to kind of give us a reason for why it's being supported in midair, like that. Remember what I said earlier about how the ridge is higher on this side? You can see that very much in this posture of the foot right there. Quick gesture just to kind of give us some understanding of where the rest of the figure is. Okay, that's the end of that demo, and I think that's the end of the session. Thank you very much.